Welcome to the Indiana Football Postgame Show with Jim Coyle and Coach Shannon Griffith. A production of ISB Media. Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle, and game analyst, Coach Shannon Griffith.
Hello and welcome into the Indiana Sports Beat Radio postgame show. I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith, and awaiting Jim Coyle to join us once he gets out of Coach Signetti's presser. He'll be able to join us and fill us in on all the happenings in that presser today as Indiana ekes out a big road victory in Iowa City by making a play when they needed to play the most, 20-13, as Elijah Waffle House Surratt finally breaks free. And Iowa, who had lived by the blitz the entire day, finally died by that blitz, giving the Hoosiers a huge win on the road at Iowa. And to sit here and say that this game was an ugly win, there's no doubting that that is probably the biggest sentiment around Hoosier land. But I will say this: a win is a win is a win. You will never apologize for a win, and give these kids a ton of credit for hanging in this ball game and not letting the little things get to them when frustration probably was building in more with the fan base, the coaches, but these kids still played loose, and you got to give them a ton of credit for today. And even though Fernando was not maybe on it today, he still made some tremendous throws when he needed to, and ends up throwing for 233 yards on the day. Indiana, of course, rushing the football was very difficult against this stout Iowa front. And again, we had said all week that this Iowa defense was legit, and they were going to have a huge test today by this Iowa defense, because they were not going to let Indiana just play pitch and catch. They were going to come after them at every point in time they could. They were going to pressure Fernando as much as they could. And I think it was pretty obvious that happened today there in Iowa City. Iowa, as Indiana picked up on the 20-13 win. Some other big games around the Big Ten today. Illinois, after getting beat in Bloomington, comes back and gets a huge game-winning field goal as time runs out, 34-32 over a top 25 team in USC. It's a huge benefit because that just shows you Indiana quality win versus Illinois. They were able to get that game today and get a W, and that's all that matters in that regard. So again, Indiana came away with a victory today, and we're going to take a good hard look here because our one and only Jim Coyle is joining us now down on the field in Iowa City, Iowa. How was the presser, Mr. Jim Coyle?
Well, you could tell that Coach Signetti was more than happy to get out of. Yeah, there we go. More than happy to get out of here with a win. As I got to be honest with you, I did not think that was going to happen with probably 3 minutes to go. And but he acknowledged that they just played a tough team in a tough environment. When we did the pregame show, I had said that I'd recalibrated my thoughts about how this game is going to go. I didn't expect that, but you got to credit Iowa's defense, and I'm going to have to slap Mike Shanahan on the hand here. great OC. And this is the first time since Cignetti has been Indiana's coach that I have seen the failure to adjust in the second half. And to me, that was a big part of that. You got to give Iowa credit. Like I said, they were playing lights out as Big Ten, big Ten team. Great line, great scheme. But it seemed to me, they kept doing the same thing over, banging your head against the wall, expecting a different result. And we know what that is. That's the definition of insanity. And I just didn't understand why they weren't maybe just doing some three-step drops, bam, getting it out, boom, let's go, swing pass, get it out, make it happen. Some plays just to get things going, to get a rhythm going, because they didn't really have a rhythm. Although they would get a drive and you'd go like, oh, wow, okay, there it is. But then that would be it. So it was an amazing thing to watch. But at the end of the day, Indiana wins a gut check football game in Iowa Kinnick Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the conference in the country, and hadn't won here in a long time.
2007.
Yeah, and so that's what good teams do. They find ways to win when their back is against the wall, when they haven't played their best, when maybe a coach is not having his best day, whatever the case. But you somehow find a way to win against a team who was playing their best football of the season with a 70,000 stadium full of people. And it was loud, man. It was loud here. So you just got to give a lot of credit to Indiana as a whole. But, there's some things to work on. Got some stuff to clean up.
Well, I said this before you jumped on here, and again, it was not a pretty sight for the about 59 minutes of today during that game today. But you have to give a ton of credit to these kids for hanging in there, plugging away when the frustration probably was mounting for the fan base and maybe the coaches in some respects. These kids stayed composed, even when Fernando wasn't maybe quite on point. And they stuck to it and waited. And like you said, when they had a chance to make the play, they made it. And that's what we talked about in the pregame today, that it wasn't going to be easy. But when the play was there to be made, Indiana had to make it. And finally, Phil Parker and the Iowa defense had lived by the blitz all day long. They died by it in that point in time.
Yeah, I'm screwing around with my to hear this better, but I agree with you. I thought they flirted with danger just a little too long. But again, it just goes back to me to not making those adjustments. I was more than a little surprised. It can't be what they went for that fourth down, which they got stopped on fourth down twice. And that second time, I'm like, that didn't work the first time. I may have done something a little different, maybe tried to sprint out, roll out, quick out pass. There's just so many different things you can do. And that kind of just went along with what we were seeing at the time. But, man, the defense did the job. And that's great for them moving forward. But you have to worry about now going to Oregon and seeing that this offense is human. It can be neutralized. It's dangerous at all times, though. It is always, even if you have it neutralized, it's still like a wasp running around in a bag, baby. Don't stick your hand in there. You will get stung. And finally, all day long, we saw them doing different things. They hit it. 49-yard touchdown to Elijah Surratt. It's like you can hold him down for so long, but it's going to burst at some point. But boy, you can't count on that like that all the time. Especially, I mean, it's huge to be able to do that at that point in the game. But man, they really ran it close today.
Yeah, one thing, looking at this and talking, at some of these plays that were there today, especially the fourth down, a couple of them were a situation on those fourth downs. They did have RPOs on. I think Fernando made poor decisions in those moments because of what Iowa was in, because he had clear man-to-man on the outside. But, however, that still does not mean that a coach sees that he may be struggling, and maybe if you're going to go for it, let's take that off of him and make the calls that you need to make in those situations so it's not all in his shoulders. And that was one of the things. And we're going to have to take an account here from a coach's standpoint, all the way from the top down. You're on the road, you're in a hostile environment. When you got a chance to get points, you get points. And when you have a chance to punt the football, especially when it's in your own territory. I mean, that was a huge gamble at a time where you didn't need to gamble. So I do think there's some accountability that has to go around here, and they have to look at it objectively so that when they get in these situations again, you don't want to, put your handcuffs on you, but you better think a couple more times before you just say go for it.
Yeah, especially when your opponent is really putting it on you. And not only were they putting it on you, they had a great offensive game plan. As a matter of fact, they had the game plan that I thought Indiana needed, because Indiana was putting pressure on Gronowski at some points, but not as much as you might have thought. But he scrambled. He had the ability to scramble a bit, keep some plays alive. But they were hitting those moving targets, moving the play around, moving the pocket around, moving it around, extending the plays. Indiana did not do that. It wasn't for Iowa. It was by design. And when Indiana did do it, it was kind of like by necessity. And there's a difference because things changed then. But yeah, Iowa had a great game plan offensively and did a great job defensively. You just got to give them so much credit. A lot of people didn't think Iowa was that good. Well, let me tell you, again, on the pregame show, we talked and I said that, man, it looked like Gronowski and the offense made a big jump at Rutgers, and saw it today. Absolutely, they did, because they made another big jump. They're going to beat a lot of teams if they play like that. They just played the number 11 team in the country, which next week will be a top 10 team. Florida State lost, and I'm sure somebody else will lose today, and Indiana will move up. But wouldn't be so sure that Fernando Mendoza is the betting favorite to win the Heisman next week, which that'll change back and forth every week for the next 3 months. But he's going to take a little heat. Not that he made a ton of mistakes. The interception, probably ill-advised. I'd have to go back and watch it. It was a great catch by that safety. But I just can't get over the lack of adjustment. I hate to keep harping on that, but I was I'm a lot shocked because of how smart Indiana is coached, how well they are coached, how well they are prepared for virtually every situation. And they got knocked back on their ass today, to be honest with you. Got knocked on their heels, but you've got Kirk Ferentz across the way, and he may be old, but he ain't no dummy. So he's won a few games.
If you look at the statistics of this ball game, you could see why Indiana won. They had more total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards.
Hey, they didn't have more passing yards for most of the game.
No, I get that, but at the end of the day, when the zeros hit the clock, if you just looked at the score and the statistics, you would say, well, Indiana won a tough ball game and did what they had to do in Iowa. It does not paint the total picture of the struggle that it was in this ball game all day.
Hell no, I thought they were going to lose this game with less than 3 minutes to play.
Well, the other thing that's key component, the defense got takeaways today. The Indiana
Boy,
came
that
out
was huge.
came away, I think, a +2 or a +1, which is, again, when you look at these numbers, you come to the agreement that when you get turnovers and you do some things like they did in that first quarter or two, that's how they win games on the road. And
They scored off of both of those, Coach. Well, in the first half, that's how it got started. They scored early, didn't score another touchdown, but at the end of the game, they do it again. You get the INT, and what do? They go down and score. So,
and that was a bad call by Iowa to throw it in that situation down there when all they needed to do is, get themselves in a better position. But at the, the other thing was that I think stood out to me a bit today also is what we talked about in the pregame. Iowa did exactly what they wanted to do offensively and what we thought we couldn't let them do. They methodically moved the ball, consumed time, never got off schedule, had third and mediums, and they were able to dink their way down the field because they didn't really throw the ball down the field. It was more
didn't have to, though. They did not have to.
Right. And that was the thing that we thought, Iowa was going to do. And that's how Iowa wins. That's why Kurt Ferentz is a really good football coach, and their defense is really good, and their offense is good enough because of what they do to keep themselves playing complementary football on both sides of the ball. But again, there's definitely some time here. They get a break at the right time. There's no question that they need it because this was a physical football game. There were a ton of hits both ways. Hopefully the Gronowski kid's not hurt for the entire season. I don't know his status for Iowa. I'd hate to see that, but
I think it was probably an ankle. It's kind of what it looked like, but you could tell he was hurt immediately. He pounds the ground. But you never know. But it didn't look, serious, but we will wait and see.
Do you want any highlights? Because I did pull some big highlights from the game today. If you'd like to.
Let them roll, brother.
Well, we're going to talk. This is the fourth down coming up here. Let me see if I can get it set up here correctly. As you can see right here, right now, everybody's inside. There is two guys on the outside. You've got man-to-man. This ball should be going to one of these two guys, one-on-one on the outside. There is 9 bodies inside here. There's no way you're going to run the football, and that's what happens. They blitz it, and that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, that either take a timeout or, by golly, get yourself in a position to do the right thing. And then, of course, this is the big one. They're blitzing.
Slant, a run, and there he goes. Elijah Surratt, touchdown Indiana.
Now that goes down as a 49-yard touchdown, but he had about 43 yards after the catch.
Oh, yeah.
That was a 7-yard quick slant. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't understand why they weren't doing that the entire second half. And because that's that can happen. It's not going to happen every time, but you keep throwing that against the wall, and it will with those All-Americans, those speedsters. And I don't understand why they weren't doing more of that. Anyway, who am I to second guess a stuff that's just great? And I don't mean to, but that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Absolutely. You got to call balls and strikes in these situations. And at times it may not be what everyone wants to hear, but like on that fourth down call, if they would run a quick complementary route, one-on-one on the outside with your two best players, that's where the ball should have gone. And I'm sure that's what they're going to say is this was just a RPO that he did not make the correct read. And if you're going to
Kurt said it wasn't in the presser.
Oh, I thought it was because the way they did it. But
you're not the only one that thought that.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, we'll all be able to digest this win tonight. We'll be able to look
And
at
let's not, just because we're acknowledging that a lot of mistakes made, offensively, still doesn't erase what a hell of a win. Let me say that 4 or 5 times. What a hell of a win. The resilience to hang in there, to be getting knocked down all day long, just be getting punched in the face, but still keep coming back for more. And that's exactly what Indiana did. The offense stayed in there no matter what. It wasn't working. It wasn't going great. They coming off of a game where they put 63 points on the board, and now they could barely find the end zone with a map today, but stayed in there, kept after it, and bam. They just the run game was good enough. It was pretty decent against a defense like this. They outrushed Iowa. Indiana holds Iowa to less than 100 yards rushing. That was their, that's their meal ticket. Had been their meal ticket. Today was passing. I think that they would have outpassed Indiana if it hadn't been for that. What's the passing stats?
Mendoza was 13 of 23 for 233. Iowa as a total was 24 of 38 for 192 and 2 interceptions.
Take that 49 yards off that 233, and what does that come out to be?
Well, you're going to ask me to do this, aren't you?
Well, I mean, it's probably, is it less than what Iowa had? Probably. Is my only point. Is they
would have been
they're almost outpassed by Iowa, and who in the hell would have thought that?
I mean, Gronowski completed 76% of his passes before going out. The Brown kid,
and he threw a lot. There was no doubt he threw the most passes today. I don't know what he threw last week against Rutgers, but I would imagine this is the most passes he may have thrown all year, because they were really tossing the ball around the yard today. Yeah,
and again, that's his growth, and they were talking about that pretty much all day, about how he has grown since Rutgers to now, that starting to get a hang of the offense and in that regard. But you're correct. This is a win, and as Indiana Hoosier fans, the dull years of going to Iowa and getting your what kicked, like in 2021, and now you go to Iowa and you get a hard-fought win. Do not be disappointed, because this is not a win that you should feel bad about or apologize for.
Hell no. It's a tough win, man. Hey, ask USC. Ask Florida State.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's a lot better than being on the other side. It doesn't matter how tough it was. They went into a tough-ass environment, and one where they hadn't won in 20 years.
One-possession game. It was a one-possession game. And
boy, was it.
And Indiana come out on top of a one-possession game, which has not always happened. So that's the thing.
No, and this is actually, to me, this is great for them, because, A, you played in an incredibly tough environment. Well, you got 2 more coming up, 2 more badass places to play. So great training for that. Great training to be able to run the offense, whether it was ran quite as well as it could have been today, doesn't matter. That was not about the noise, I don't think. So, but to be able to do what they did in this noise, to be able to block that crowd out and still get that done, that's huge. That's growth. That's going, you're going to use that at Oregon in 2 weeks when Indiana goes out there to take on the Ducks. And then later in the season, when they go to Happy Valley for 104 or 5,000 seat Beaver Stadium. If you think this was loud, add another 25,000 on top of that.
Absolutely.
So that'll be crazy.
Yeah. And again, there's the one other thing too to point out. There was some officiating today that was very shaky the entire game. I mean, they missed a multitude of holding calls on Iowa's offensive line. I mean, they tackled Surratt but Kamara at least 3 times. And then I don't know what this official was doing at the end of the game when IU was in a victory formation and he was blowing the whistle dead.
Kurt Signetti talked about that. He said, I've got to get an explanation from the Big Ten because he said, he said, we have the victory formation and they go back, and on the first one, Iowa didn't even rush. And then you saw what happened. I didn't even see that. I had taken off to go downstairs. I didn't know that there had been a freaking safety. So I guess the final score was 20-15. I didn't even know that.
Because he ran that was negative yardage. So you take that.
Well, he was supposed to run out of the end zone, Kurt said. But regardless of that, he said on that play that you talked about where the one official blew the whistle, he said the official on the sideline gave him an explanation, but then when you talked to the referee, it was completely different explanation. And he said neither of them made sense. So I don't know to answer that. We'll have to wait to find out. Maybe he'll get an explanation by Monday at his presser. I don't know. But something they'll want to work on because they may probably be in that situation again.
No question. And again, that goes back to in the coaching world, you think you prep for something like that, and here's a game today. You think you've got it won. They've got 3 timeouts left. You still need at least to run the ball a little bit to drain more clock, and they didn't. And that could have got ugly in the sense that it could all have backfired on them. And
I couldn't believe their kicker missed that 42-yarder because the kick he made earlier, that was from 54.
Yeah,
would have been good from 69.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sitting, however many 10 stories up, and when he kicked that ball, I didn't think it was ever coming back down. I'm like, damn. I mean, this was a 54-yarder that probably, when it went through the crossbars, was at the top of the crossbar still. So, man, he had a leg. But fortunately for Indiana, because if they hit that may change the game, that change the approach, change the feeling. You're in the lead. The crowd. There's everything's connected. So big day for Indiana. It's just a huge win for them. So congratulations to them. They're now 5-0. And we'll be heading into the top 10 of the AP next week. Comment says if instead runs around to burn extra seconds before going down, referees can stop the clock and flag it as unfair acts under Rule 8.2.3. Thank you for that. That is amazing. And I think that's a stupid rule. I didn't know that was a rule. I had never heard that. Because usually a quarterback, when they're doing that, they're not going to do it long. They're going to go back a few yards and drop. But I did not know that was a rule. Also, PFF has Iowa offensive line as top 3 at all positions. Well, it wasn't their offensive line that did it though today. I mean, I don't doubt that because they were good. Indiana did an okay job. They had 1 sack on the day, so they got to Gronowski just once, but they did a great job stopping the run. Less than 100 yards. I mean, what do you stopping less than 100 yards for a team that's been averaging over 200 yards rushing? That was their meal ticket. But they did have a couple of guys out, so I'm sure that hurt them as well. Fortunately for Indiana, maybe. But, Iowa's a good team. They're going to go to a bowl game as usual. And playing in this environment, tough as it was, a lot of learning lessons for Indiana. Like I said, they're going to go back. Kirsten and Eddie will look at that. Braylon says, my Hawkeye friend told me, good win, and it's your team's time to shine. No more Ohio State, Michigan, etc. Very humbly. Well, we'll see about that. Those tests are still down the road. Indiana won't play either of those teams this year. But tonight, we'll see. It's already started. Probably. Nope, starts soon. Probably 30 minutes.
What's that?
I'll be watching that game. I hope I can keep a connection all the way home while I'm driving home so I can watch or listen to that game.
You better get on the road because it's 10 minutes left in the first quarter.
Oh, is it already?
Yeah, it started. It's 8:00 here out in the
east.
East.
See, I keep forgetting that. My clock changes. Is there a score?
No, it's 0-0 right now, and it's a whiteout in Nittany Valley land. Very loud. And
Put that comment back up if you don't mind. I was trying to read that one. Jim says, great victory. Question I have, it seems those run plays on 4th and short take too long to happen with the shotgun and handoff allows the defense to set up the run. I say that all the time. It kind of, I instantly think of Indiana Louisville a couple of years ago.
yeah,
That's the first thing I think of when Indiana was on the goal line, 4th and 1. They get in, they win the game, and instead of running quarterback sneak, just going right over the right guard, which was wide open, they do the same thing. They're in the shotgun. You got to stop, turn around, hand it off 7 yards deep into the backfield. And by then, hell, you've got defenders in the backfield. There are certain times where you just need to change it up and do something different. I agree with you. But some teams, I guess, are also, hey, this is what we do and this is how we're going to do it. But I didn't like it on those particular plays. The first time's okay. But after you'd gone through a game in which they'd shown that they're pretty stout, do something different. Mix it up a little bit. Run, like I said, roll out. Roll out 5 yard out. That's almost unstoppable with some of these guys. I digress, but I didn't understand why they didn't do it. So I agree with you.
Ole Miss got a big win today, and they defeated LSU at home. So
again, my daughter will be happy.
The world of college football is in chaos, as usual, in the middle of the season.
What are you talking about? It's not in chaos. LSU will drop one spot probably. They're in the SEC. You forget.
Yeah, right. Well, I know that, again, great win. I wish you a safe travel back to Indiana since you're coming back tonight. I didn't know that. I thought maybe you would stay and enjoy the win a little bit, but hey.
No rest for the weary, baby. No rest for the weary. Yeah.
All right, partner.
Well, I appreciate everybody taking the time to join us, man. As always, without you guys, we have no reason to be here. But we appreciate you, and we love being able to do this for you guys and bring this to you from no matter where they are. Now, I won't be going to Oregon, unfortunately. I didn't plan it ahead far enough, didn't get my ticket bought soon enough, plane tickets, so probably going to have to sit that one out. But I expect to go to Penn State and anything else that's going on this year, of course. But again, we appreciate you guys. Don't forget to come back on Monday for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And Coach will have the Hoosier Tailgate on, you do it Monday and Thursday, right?
Monday and Thursday. Bye week this week. We'll change it up on Thursday a little bit. But on Monday, we will go through this game with a fine-tooth comb to talk about everything.
If you're not a subscriber to thehoosier.com, why not? It is, bar none,
absolutely
the best site out there. And I'm not just saying that. There is no site putting out the content that thehoosier.com puts out every day now, including breaking the story today about D'Angelo Pons not playing. Did he play?
No.
Did he even dress?
He did dress. He was on the sidelines and dress, but I think, again, like you said, with the bye week next week, they got through what they needed to get through today, and they've got capable backups, and they got it done. And, hey, 5-0, and Indiana moves on. And as well as everyone else, you have a safe trip back to the great Hoosier State, I should say. Safe travels. Everyone that's joining us here this evening after the game, we appreciate each and every one of you. But for Jim Coyle, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith, and as Jimmy says, we will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.